Hi folks, it's your favorite theory teacher, Bret, and I'm here to show you how to build some of the more difficult and challenging major scales. And we'll start with F sharp major. Now you should have a piece of paper with the music staff on it and also have that piano keyboard that we always use at the top of the page to do this. Okay, let's turn our attention to the screen here where I've started with an F sharp right here, and as you remember, the steps are to spell it, step it, and check it. Now I know you're probably wondering, what are these whole rests doing here? That's just the way the finale program is set up, so you don't need to have those. So first thing we want to do is go alphabetically. Eight tones in total, so we have an F sharp, so our next one should be a G, then an A, and a B, then a C, and a D, and an E, and an F. Now we've got 8 pitches going alphabetically, and that's half the battle. Okay, now remember what I told you, always go to the final do, and if your first do has an accidental, like this one has a sharp, go to your final do here and make sure that that has the same accidental. So we want to end on an F sharp since we began on an F sharp. Okay, now we're going to do the scale diagram, and that means showing where the tetrachords begin and end. So the first one starts here and goes to there, tetrachord 1, and tetrachord 2 here to there. And as usual, the half steps always go between the third and fourth notes of each tetrachord, this being mi, fa, and then sol, la, ti, do, and there it is. I'm not going to put in the little H's right now. You can do that on your own. Remember, all the rest of these are whole steps unless a slur is marked for indicating a half step. And if you wish, you can put the wedge mark in there and put a little W under here to remind yourself that there's a whole step right here in between the two tetrachords. So we've got our diagram and it's alphabetical, and now we can go to the checking stage. So let's take a look. First, let's look at it on the screen. We've got an F sharp, then we've got the letter G. And let's look at it on the piano keyboard and see that an F sharp to a G is only a half step. But we don't want a half step here, we want a whole step. So let's go back and change that to G sharp. And I'm going to check each one off as it's correct, like we do in class. I'm using little dots here, but you can use the check marks that we usually use. Moving on, the G sharp to the A. You see from the keyboard, G sharp to A. That's only a half step. We're supposed to have a whole step here. So we need to change the A to an A sharp to make that whole step. So let's go back in and do it. There it is. And I'll give it the whoopsie again. I'm running into problems. Okay, here we go. Check it off. Okay. Now, you can just look at your own piano keyboard for the next couple of these. Check out the A sharp to the B, and you'll notice that that in itself is a half step. So this note, this B, needs no adjustment. We can just check it off. It's fine the way it is. Okay, a little dot went on top that time. Okay. Alright, first tetrachord is done. Second tetrachord, take a look at the relationship between B and C. That is a white note half step. We do not want a half step here, right? This is where the wedge mark is. We want a whole step. So we've got to raise that C to a C sharp. Let's do it. Go right in here. Bam. Now the C sharp makes it a whole step. and I'll check it off. Okay, check out C sharp to D natural. That's only a half step. Again, we need a whole step here for our major scale to be correct. So we need to add a sharp to the D. And there it is. And check it off. Now, let's take a look at these two. Here's D sharp to E natural. See it on the keyboard here? D sharp to E natural. That's only a half step, and we need a whole step. So what we need is the physical distance of going from here to here. But remember, since we're going alphabetically, we cannot put D sharp and then go to the note F. Besides, we've already got the E written in. We have to call this E something. So you have to think, okay, what have we done to the E to move it up to here? We've sharped it. This is one of the white key sharps. D sharp, and then this note expressed as E sharp. Let's go in and do that. Wrong command. Sorry, guys. Okay, in there, and E sharp. And that is good. And then if you check the last one, I'm just going to check it off now because it is correct, but look at it on the keyboard. E sharp is where we ended on the 7th note. And to get to the end of the scale, we're going up to F sharp. I know it looks to your eye like F sharp, but really we're calling it E sharp, F sharp, so that things go alphabetically. C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp. And we did the F sharp at the beginning, so that took a step away from the end, which is convenient. Let's have the computer play it for us, and you'll hear that although it looks like a very strange sounding scale, it sounds just as beautiful as C major does. Ta-da! Hi, I'm back again with a little bit more torture for you. Another major scale. All right, I figured we have to do a flat one. And we're going to take a very difficult one this time. This is going to be C flat major. Take a look at the screen here. All right, I put it in bass clef. And remember again the 3 steps. Spell it, step it, check it. So since we have C flat, our next letter has to be D. Then we need E, F, G, A, B, and C. And what do you think I'm going to tell you to do? Check the first do, see that it has an accidental, a flat, go to the last do, and make sure that that also has the flat. You cannot end on a different do than you began on. All right, so now we've got 8 alphabetical notes, and they are not diagrammed yet, so that's the next step. So we need to put the scale diagram. We're going to show where the 2 tetrachords are, where they begin and end. First tetrachord from here to here. Second tetrachord from there to there. First 4 notes, second 4 notes. And as usual, our half steps are between Mi and Fa, and up here between Ti and Do. Okay, again, you can put in the little H's if you like, if it helps you. You can also put in the kind of caret mark here and a W underneath right over here to remind yourself about the whole step in between the 2 tetrachords. Okay, now it's time to check this one. This is going to be a heap of work, but let's do it. Take a look at the keyboard to begin with. Now, the first thing that you have to wrap your brain around is the fact that C flat is this note. This is C, and don't think that flat has to be a black key, because it's certainly not this. This would be going up. That's not flatting a note. Going down from C is going to here. So this note that looks the same as the B key can also be called C flat. So our first pair of notes, we've started on a C flat. The next one that you should have written down on your staff is a D. You see, from C flat to D is way too far. It's 3 half steps. So that needs to be decreased in distance. We need to pull that D down to a D flat. Let's turn back to the computer screen and do that. We're going to flat the D. So now we have C flat to D flat, producing a whole step. I'm not going to bother with checking each of these off right now so that we can stay focused. Now the D flat to the note E natural, if you look at your piano keyboard on your own page, you'll see that that is also too far away. The E natural is too far away. That needs to be lowered to an E flat. So first 3 notes, C flat, D flat, and E flat. Now comes the very puzzling part, going from E flat. Now if we went up to F as is written on the staff, that's a whole step. We don't want a whole step here, we want a half step. So we need to go to this key. You're used to calling this E. But since we're going alphabetically and we went C flat, D flat, E flat, guess what? We're going to call this one F flat. Let's turn back to the screen and flat the F. That's the scale where you would get an F flat. I know it's horrible. Now going from F flat up to G natural is too far, so the G natural is going to have to be turned into a G flat. Similarly, G flat up to A natural is too far a distance, so we need to flat the A flat, and A flat up to B natural is too far, we need to flat the B as well. And let's look at the very end of the scale, B flat on the keyboard. Here's B flat. Now we already did this as a first step, which is good for us. We made that C into a C flat. B flat up to C flat. I know it looks like B, but remember we're calling it C flat. It's a lot to wrap your mind around. That is indeed a half step. So you see this scale has all 7 notes flatted. And though it looks very scary, it sounds like this. And there you have it. So bring that camera back to me so I can say goodbye to everyone. Thanks for joining me for this.